Hi all, hello from California. Glad you're here. This is my second time of going through this. We just had a wonderful long Zoom, lots of questions, lots of personal stories that were shared that we just didn't feel appropriate to share with everyone. So I'm going to redo this and hopefully answer all your questions and some of the things that came up during our Zoom. So welcome. Thank you for joining my travel summit. And the speakers, I wanted to let you know, wonderful comments about you. People were so impressed with the variety. They called you pretty much superstars. The speakers candidly share their experience. They love that. The variety of jobs, the topics, experience of the speakers, so many resources and broad range of topics, listening to all the great advancements these strong people have done to do with what they love in travel. So thank you. And I know you've helped people. And in fact, I'm reaching out to everybody saying, if you found this helpful, let me know. And maybe it's months from now, you go, oh gosh, I just got a job as a flight attendant. Thank you for your information on that. I just started working with the DMCs. Thank you for your information on that. Whatever it is, let me know. So it really excites me, and reading your feedback really excited me. It was a lot of work. And you know what? The hardest part is travels back and trying to catch everyone. I mean, we had people going on a cruise. We had somebody going to Gibraltar. We had somebody that was working in San Diego. And trying to catch people. Plus, I'm in California, and even California, we were really busy starting the end of July. So trying to fit it in between my assignments too. And I just grab every assignment I can get because I love I love doing our job. So thank you for attending, and thank you speakers for helping so many people. And the questions were really good, and a lot of them about how to get started, how to get experience, how to hiring people that are waiting for retirement, people that have other jobs. And let me tell you, I always say, and Liz and I both said during her recording on day one, do not quit your regular job. If you have a good job, keep it. I'm going to give you lots of suggestions, things you can do locally, things that are short term that you can start getting experience and reaching out there. And then if, down the line, you retire, you're an empty nester, your kids are off. The majority of people now doing this are empty nesters. It just amazes me. And when before I even started, it was a lot of young men when they first got out of college. And it was great management skills and, all of that. And they would be like 1, 2, 3 years and they were gone. Now, many people, and you'll see the tour operators brag about the fact that many of their staff have been there for 20 plus years now, because and women were the minority. Now there's a lot. And what I recommend, go to the websites, when you got the 60 plus major tour operators. Oops, I'm not even going to show up on this, I guess. Anyway, your major tour operators, your 60 in the major DMCs list, go to their websites. And a lot of them will have pictures of their staff, or they'll have little interviews with their staff. And you'll see, you see a lot of gray hair, there are companies for you younger people. So, which I'll remember to talk about. Let me make myself a note. Lots of opportunities for younger people too, but don't feel, I work with people in their 80s and they are great. Now you have to have, good health and energy and be able to stand and walk and all of that a lot. But if you got that, gosh, great for you too. Companies are more concerned about your experience, your ratings from other companies, how good you do your tours, then how old are you? In fact, I used to say for years, if I ran into my boss on the street, I never would have known most of them because they were on the East Coast. Now you have Zoom, so you might meet them, if not in person, you can meet them by Zoom. But oftentimes you don't actually meet, I guess face-to-face is Zoom, but, body to body. So that's just the way our business is, but we all know what's going on. The better tour director is going to get great evaluations and reviews. So, that's really important. Now, if you see me reach off like I'm about to do, or you suddenly see a tail go across, it's because I rescue cats. There's another one on my lap. And it's they think I'm talking to them when I'm online. So I excuse the interruptions. I want to tell you a little bit about me, my story. You heard everybody else's. Some of you may not know me. My story, I started out as a teacher. I was a PE teacher and coach, sort of taught everything. And also, I was in real estate. I was in medical sales for a while, selling vaccines and such to and pharmaceuticals to veterinarians and different things. So one day, I met a young woman at the beach in Laguna Beach, and she said, "If you take care of the kids for the cruise line, you get a free cruise." And so I'm so excited. I wrote back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And it took a year and a half because they wrote back, we hired everybody. I wrote back again, let me know next time you're hiring, wrote back again. The next year saying, I'm still interested. They wrote back, ready to interview you. Well, I was going to spend the summer in Western Samoa, wrote back and said, I'm going to do when I get back in the fall. And they offered me a cruise from LA through the Panama Canal, San Juan, Puerto Rico, and back 4 weeks. So I was in teaching. I went to my principal and I said, I want to take an extra 2 weeks off without pay, during Christmas time. So he approved it. And that cruise changed my life forever. I loved it. And when it's like, this is where I'm supposed to be. So I did it again through the summertime. And then by fall, I was offered position on board where as a cruise host, not working for the cruise line, working for a tour operator, and where they would have me responsible for their groups on the cruise. So I might have 14 people, I might have 150 people, 115 was probably average. And that was my job, to make sure that I did cocktail parties and briefings, and I would try to have events. Just different things that, to try to enhance their cruise for them. And I loved it. And the first couple of years, I did mainly Alaska, Caribbean, Caribbean, Mexico, Panama Canal, back and forth. Loved it. And then after a couple of years, I said, I'm ready to go long distance. So I did cruises to all over Hawaii, down to all through the South Pacific, Australia, New Zealand, China, Southeast Asia, Europe, by cruise ship. And then after a while, I said, gosh, I'm ready to do tours. So my first tour, this is Leo, he's not going to stay off my lap. My first tour was 28 days in China. And this was back when we were on military planes where you'd look out the window and you'd see I'm aging myself, but they were old Russian military planes, and you'd see the wheels hanging off of the wings, and you just drooled on me. That's really nice. Anyway, so we were in Chinese hotels eating Chinese food. We weren't quite sure what we were eating, but it didn't agree with our systems very often. It was tough. You were lucky if you had a bathroom. They were mainly holes in the ground at that point. So I'd wear a long skirt because, I would carry toilet paper for the people, spoons, plastic spoons and forks, and lots of handy wipes, and a lot of things that carry with us today now too. But it was tough. Now it's one of the easiest places to do tours because they have gorgeous resort hotels, wonderful buffets, beautiful motor coaches. We went school buses without toilets going through areas where there weren't any toilets. Beautiful planes. It's a whole different thing now, but it was tough. That was my first land tour, 28 days. And we kind of looked like refugees when we left. And I remember sending in my report, and I did not request another tour. And then my next tour came about, and it was South America. Wonderful itinerary. I think we started in Venezuela. I know we did Iguazu Falls, Brazil, Copacabana Beach, all of that, all the way down to Argentina and the Pampas and the Gauchos and all that. It was great. So, but lots of challenges along the way. Like Iguazu Falls, and the flight was canceled, and there are not a lot of flights in there. Took me, I think, over 24 hours to finally get them to Rio. And it was a long day with very, very little food, lots of challenges. And I decided, why am I not on the cruise ship? So eventually I learned how to do tours, did a lot of China, Southeast Asia, still do Australia, New Zealand, Fiji. And I like the longer Eastern Europe. I like the longer tours. I get people that are well traveled compared to the shorter European tours. So I don't, actually, I did that like 10 years. I just said, keep me traveling. I was home maybe 2 days a month. I was booked out 3 months in advance. I loved it. And eventually I started getting pets and I wanted to be home. So I started my training, and I started out with colleges, went to the colleges from Oxnard and Camarillo all the way down through San Diego and everything in between. And I said, look, here's all these wonderful careers and nobody knows anything about them. And so I started through community services, adult courses, and then had a couple of credit courses, wrote my textbook, tour directing. God, I can't get this on here, can I? Anyway, yeah, it's my tour. There it is. There's my tour director training guide. And did that for a long time. And then 9/11 hit. Was it that? Yeah, it was after 9/11, I think. At that time, I started teaching online. So for 10 years, I mean, because suddenly I had time at home, put together a course, my first online course, 2,400 colleges worldwide, had students from all over the world. But the problem was everything was written. It wasn't videos and all that, but also I couldn't work with the students outside the course. Because it was public education. So everything had to be in the discussion area. Now, some would find me. I'm pretty easy to find, really easy to find on the internet, and some would find me and I could help them. But to me, the goal is to get you hired and get you working. So, and I couldn't do that in an online class. So anyway, then I went, okay, the last recession, I thought, okay, the enrollment went down, I'll do my own course. Well, finally, 2019, I came out with my own course full of videos and personal help, and we can do phone calls and Zooms and, all of that. So, but anyway, so that's where I am now. 2020, really, really tough on a lot of us. And I'll tell you, it was really tough. I think when you're in this business, you like people and you like being with people. And suddenly to be isolated alone for 1.5 years in California, really, really tough, really tough. And in fact, if you watched the video in 5, the last video with Tammy, and she talks about her business, Singles Travel International, where she has people 50 and over. After the interview, I thought, gosh, I don't know if she realizes how important that segment of the market is right now. I mean, so many of us have been, singles isolated, and we need to get back and connect with people. Now, I'm fortunate in California, the end of July, our tourism started coming back, our meetings started coming back. So have been able to reconnect with friends I work with. And the people you work with in this business, you can't do this business if you don't like people. There's lots of jobs you can do in the industry if you're more a detailed person behind the scenes, that kind of thing. But if you're like what we do, where you're face to face with people, you would just hate it if you don't like people, because that's what we do. And in fact, somebody asked, and I want to be sure and answer, how do we handle difficult people? And I want to get into that. I want to make sure, we were talking about that during the first Zoom, so I want to make sure to cover that. But because everything isn't always pleasant, because we work with people. That's the nature of our job. So, but we'll talk about that. Anyway, so happy to be back, and I see our jobs. I've always seen our jobs as important. He's back. I've always seen our jobs as important because I've always thought, when people take their last breath, do they say, got hair on my face here, probably a cat hair, do they say, gee, I wish I worked more office hours and worked harder at my job? Or do they say, wish I had done the things I always wanted to do? I wish I had spent more time with my family members, or the people I love. And that's when we have them. They're doing what they've always wanted to do. This is the good times for them. This is when they're spending time with their spouse or with their family and their friends. So it's really important. But I think now, more than ever, because this is how we bring the world back together, as far as I see it. When I do tours, I always try to have visits to schools, and gosh, the people get so excited, and I've received emails and letters, make sure they get what I sent them, make sure they, this is our, I remember somebody said, that's our special school, don't take anybody there. I see them hanging out of the coaches, waving at the kids, all excited to see them at the end of the school day. So it's really important in a way to connect. And I think that's what the world needs to do. We need to be able to connect again with each other, and we need to be able to connect internationally eventually. It's been tough on everybody. So I just think we're even more important to get the spirit and the soul and the connections back again. So anyway, that's my story. I am so happy to be working again. And I'm so happy when I read your comments about the summit, and I really, really hope it helps you. And I hope you reach out. It's not that difficult. And I'm going to be talking about it. I think some people think it's easier than they thought it was going to be. So some of the other things I wanted to talk about, I've got lots of notes here. So I asked a lot about getting started. And I tell people, don't quit your, I'm sorry, I do have a cat here out there. Thanks. They about getting started. If you have a regular job, like I said, don't quit your job. You can do things around. So particularly if you live in a large city, if you live where there are lots of resorts, if you live, Orlando, Dallas, probably Kansas City, New Orleans may take a little bit of time to come back now. Unfortunately, it's heartbreaking to see what's happened. Some of our major cities on the Northeast too, but anything like that, they probably have a big meeting market, what we call meetings and incentives, convention meetings and incentives. If you have a convention center, you have a big convention meetings and incentive market. And you can work for what we call destination management companies. And Dieter and I talked about that, and I had some questions about that. And what it is, you have the Fortune 500 companies, the Fortune 200 companies, the Fortune 100 companies. They all do what we call meetings and incentives. And meetings may be the board members, it may be the management team. I'm guessing a lot of them are going to need to bring them all back together again, as everything comes back to normal. But also incentives. Incentives is where they say to the salespeople, particularly, you bring in X amount of new business and you get this wonderful all expense paid trip. Now that trip is going to be someplace exciting. Hawaii does a lot of them. It can be China. It can be Australia. It can be, Mexico is really popular. New Orleans has always been popular for incentives. We do a lot on what we call Orange County, our California Riviera, South Orange County beaches and our resorts. You can go anywhere in the world. Paris, they'll do incentives in Paris, something to get the people excited. And obviously right now, as we come back, they're more US and Mexico than they are anywhere else right now. So we're coming back first. But that big company will hire a meeting planner, sometimes called an incentive house, and they put everything together. And then they hire a local company to help. And they're called a destination management company. So for instance, companies come here to the California Riviera, and I work for the DMCs, the destination management companies, and they'll contact me. Just had a text a little while ago to do arrivals for a group coming in next week, and then also do help with an event one night where we make sure arrivals, meet them at the airport, send them to the hotels. Events will show up early, make sure everything is set up, everything's perfect. And then at the end of the evening, we'll make sure everything is taken down. Let's say we've rented chairs and tables and linens and florals and centerpieces and candles and entertainment. Maybe we're in the entertainment. We're bringing in the electronics for the entertainment. We're bringing in the stage. I mean, it all, luckily the one I'm doing is at a restaurant. So that'll be really easy. They'll have a lot of that, but we're there to make sure everything works great. So that's called Destination Management Company, and it's flexible. They email me and say, are you available on this date? And I'll say, yes, I'm available those dates. And then they'll email back, great, I've got you confirmed on these dates for these activities. Great. And then it gets closer, they'll send me a trip sheet with more details. So if you want to see if there's destination management companies in your area, just do a Google search. I do Destination Management Company in Denver, Destination Management Companies in Denver, Destination Management Company in San Francisco, Destination Management Companies in Seattle, wherever you are, and see, so in major, again, those are major areas. And maybe you're kind of out of the area. There isn't something like that. Maybe you're an hour away if you're willing to travel. Sometimes they may say, great, and sometimes they'll even pay for your mileage. They don't pay for overnight. You're local, so you're expected to go home at night, and that. If you work for the meeting planner, then you'll go to wherever the destination of the meeting is. You show up a little bit early, you got a lot of stuff to unpack and get organized, and help with the event, and then from there. So then you actually travel, and you'll obviously spend the night at the same resorts and such. So that's a suggestion. Also local, look for tours. And I talk about this a lot. We have become popular. The taste of Laguna Beach, the taste of San Francisco, the taste of Los Angeles, the taste of, and these different companies will have, and they're usually a small owned women business. Take the tour, and if it's something you like, say, gosh, I'd be interested in doing this for you. They've been advertising for people to help because they've been so busy. With people coming back to travel and doing more local stuff and that kind of thing. So there's a good possibility there. Ghost tours have become really popular. Do a search, ghost tours in Denver. There was a company, and I think it was called Ghost Tours USA, and they were looking for people to do ghost tours from the East Coast all the way down to Florida, all the way through the South, all the way up the West Coast. I mean, all over the country. So you can contact somebody like that. And the thing is, you get experience. You find out this is what you want to do. You don't have to quit your regular job, because maybe you say, well, I'm available on weekends. I'm available after 5 o'clock, whatever your schedule is, and then they'll, fit you in. So you don't have to quit your job. If you're in a major city too, Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Orlando, any place that's popular, go to one of the popular destinations for that tour, and then start networking. You network with the drivers. Who hires for these? What are these tours? And those companies will often train you. You can shadow. And again, they're usually pretty flexible. You can work weekends. They're going to pay you when you work. So if you're not available, you're not available. And it isn't like, for most of us, like having another job. It's like, it's fun. Maybe you're into beer. I mean, a lot of these big beer places, Busch and some of these big beer places, have people that, take them on tours, do tasting, that kind of thing. That's become really popular. So look at that. Segways, Pedagos, the electric boat tour or electric bike tours have become really popular. And then used to be what we call convention visitors bureaus, so CVBs. Most of them now are called Visit. So go to Visit Denver, Visit Portland, Visit Seattle, Visit San Francisco, Visit Savannah, Visit Miami, whatever it is. And that you go to their page and look at the tours that are being offered, and then contact those companies. And you might even take the tour and say, I want to take this. This is really fun, and then you can shadow them to train and get experience. And then later, if you do want to work into domestic tours or international tours, gosh, you've got that experience. Plus you're networking with other people. If you work for the DMCs, you're often working with people that may also do student tours. They may also do adult tours, international tours, domestic tours, and they'll do this in between, or to slow season, that kind of thing. So great way to network and get to know people. And I would say 9 out of 10 times, if I'm asked to do a tour and I say, no, I can't do it, I'm not available, they'll say, do you know somebody who can? And they might say, yeah, Kelly would be great at that. I also want to suggest student tours. Look up student tours. You might even have some local student tours in your area, but wonderful market, usually busiest in the spring. We'll see what happens this year. I think be great to get the kids out of the classroom and to connect and outside, and I hopefully before spring this year this next year they'll be getting busy again. But sometimes they're short tours. They're 3-4 days, maybe over a weekend. If you do Disneyland or Disney World tours, Magic Music Days, you may go Friday through the weekend. So maybe you have a regular job, you can get Friday off, or leave Thursday night, be there, be in Orlando, wherever it is, on Friday to meet the group. You have a day off. Maybe you get a 4-day student tour in Sacramento or Washington, D.C. is so busy that a lot of tour directors, even from the West Coast, will go over, spend the spring and just do back to tours. I mean, you have, your hotel and everything's taken care of, so you can do that. So it makes it really easy. But maybe you're working and you kind of want to get your feet wet. So now here's a student tour. It's 4 days and you have 4 days of vacation coming up. Maybe you can do it. So there's, maybe ways you can start getting, what we call over the road experience going before, if and when you retire and you're ready to do it. I'll tell you, baby boomers, but empty nesters are doing great. Used to be a job for young men when they got out of college. Now go to the websites, look at all the gray hair with the tour directors. Most are empty nesters that go into this, and women. I mean, I always say, who does better than taking care of people on the road than women? And then the other thing I want to say, I hope you listened to the podcast I sent you the link to, and if not, do. Pull up the 10 reasons to hire you. Start looking at what you're doing now. We usually say teachers, healthcare, and actors do really well. And we're sort of all of that when we're working. So teachers, public speaking, knowledge, maybe you taught history, so you already have that knowledge, being able to deal with groups. I mean, shoo-in for student tours, ability to work with parents. Biggest challenge on student tours, not the students, but the parent chaperones. The students are there, they're excited about everything. The parents are excited because they're on a vacation, even though it's their job to be the chaperone. So, maybe I was PTA president, I raised 5 kids. And if you can raise 5 kids, you can do anything. Everything is easy for you. We all sort of feel like that in the business, and you'll hear that. But I was in the PTA, so I'm good with working with parents and teachers. And look at your past. Maybe you're Toastmasters. Maybe you had public speaking in school. Maybe you have a communication degree. Maybe you have a history degree. Start pulling those things out and looking at them. And so when you get into hiring, you have 10 reasons why they should hire you. The procedures we can teach you easily. I mean, I've got those in my textbook. I've got those in my online class. There's a couple. If you're really afraid to get out there and you want something in person, ITMI in San Francisco with Ted, or Frank IGA in Colorado. I think they're going to be starting up. I'm not doing my live quite yet. Not quite ready. California is still so restrictive. It's like, give it some time. But if you just need procedures, it's easy to get those. We can get those. So, but look at your other, all your other qualifications that you have besides that. Acting, we're all actors. I can't tell you how many times I'm so stressed. Maybe I'm stressed on the way to work about something that's happening in my personal life, or, something that they don't know that this particular challenge came up.
But oh gosh, I'm relaxed and happy and everything's just fine when they see me. So, ah. And I've had people see what I'm dealing with before the group shows up, and then they'll say, boy, nothing gets to you. It's like, yeah, it does inside. Keeping it all together. But we're acting. They don't need to know what challenges we have. And I've said this before, if we didn't have any challenges, if everything always worked perfectly, I wouldn't have a job, because everybody would just show up and everything would be perfect and I wouldn't have a job. So at this point, I don't have to worry about that. We are needed. We are needed. I mean, we really are. So anyway, I hope that helps. Oh, getting experience too. Look at Airbnb. If you're maybe you're in an area where there's a wonderful little hidden lake, this wonderful hike that nobody knows about, or like in California, they'll do locals will teach you how to do surfing with locals. But everybody knows about Airbnb lodging, but they don't all know that they also have what they call experiences with locals. So you can set up your own tour, you offer it through Airbnb, and then Airbnb will advertise it, they'll collect the money, they take 20%, and you do your tour. So if you're interested in that, go to your local destination where you live and look up experiences, and you will see, sorry about that. You will see all kinds of tours that people are offering. And some of them are really creative. Some of them have to do with food. Some of them have to do with sewing. I think the most popular is probably the young gal that does, I think she's young, I don't know, but a gal that does walks up to the Hollywood sign. I mean, years ago, when they first started, she had thousands of reviews and she was charging like $39. Maybe she took 10 people at a time. I mean, and everybody just loved it. So I just think, boy, what a job she's got. I mean, she probably has people working for her now. Just keep them going. So lots of creative things, learn surfing from a local, kayaking from a local, paddleboarding from a local, whatever it is. I mean, there's all kinds of, learn the hidden parts of the city that most people don't know about, that kind of thing. So there's some suggestions. Also, you get your own tour. Go on, if you do a search for your city, you'll see tours by locals. And that's a company that will advertise your local tours. They get a percentage. You put the tour together, you offer it to them. And then when people do a search for Boston, or they do a search for New York, or they do a search for Washington, D.C. or Denver, whatever it is, they come up really early, in the search engine, and they'll promote your tour for you. And some of them are charging, close to $900 a day for a full day tour. So, and per person. So, look at that too. And then we have virtual tours, and hopefully you saw Amy, and she invited you to a free workshop she's doing on virtual tours. So hopefully some of you are being part of that, because I find them unique and challenging. All right. So hope that helps. That's getting experience, getting started, things that you can do now and have fun with it. I mean, if you find, docents, if you have historical sites near where you live, or museums, great place to start getting experience, get training, especially historical sites. Like in California, if you're near a mission, they'll teach you California history, and you'll be leading student tours of the mission. So you've got a really good chance of getting into leading student tours in California, and actually anywhere now that you have student tour experience. So great way to get started there. I think I covered that. Somebody wanted to know about difficult people, and sure, we like people, but some people get tired. I mean, I do long tours. Most mine are 3.5 weeks. People get tired. I get tired. And they can get snippy. You get into some personality sometimes. And there's a couple of things. And Dieter kind of mentioned this. Even when you're working with some pretty tough, if you're working for the DMCs, your client is the meeting planner. Okay. If you're the meeting planner, your client is that Fortune 500 company, the main client, they'll call it. And so let's say you're working as he talked about working for the meeting planner, and you get somebody that's difficult to deal with. It's over, 5 days, a week over, it's over. You never have to work with them again. I mean, I worked with one time for one of our major companies, and it was her first time she had done a meeting. And it came out later, she said she was just so stressed because the person she followed was so good and she was worried. But in the meantime, she would yell at me in front of the passengers. And then she would cry to me. And then she would yell at me in front of the passengers, yell at me in front of them on the bus. And then she would cry later. I mean, it was like back and forth. And I thought, we were all pleased when that was over. But also, I thought, gosh, I don't have to deal with her again. She was going back to the office. She has to, these people have to deal with her for years. I am so glad it's not me. So when the tour is over, when the program is over, it's over. We don't have to deal with them. And some of you probably have worked with people like that, and may not be as easy to get away from them. So those are sort of right there. The other thing, when I deal with difficult people, I find it makes points for me. So for instance, the beginning of the tour, they'll say, oh, what a great job. Now, these people have paid thousands of dollars to be there, maybe easily over 10,000 a couple. And I just get to go. And how lucky am I? And then when they see you deal with these people that are particularly challenging, that by the end, why do you do this? Because now they see, they want to slap that person and they see we stay professional, we take care of business professionally, and they see it as a job. So those are some things on that. And how do we deal with them? In hospitality, we have kind of an outline that we follow. The first thing, we say, I'm sorry. We empathize with them. And you'll hear that a lot. If you're in a restaurant, a hotel, customer service, when I'm called to complain about something, I go, I'm sorry. And I can say, I don't care if you're sorry, because I know that's the first thing you do is you say, I am sorry. And saying I'm sorry is not saying, boy, I really messed up. Our company really blew it. This was, no, saying you're sorry is empathizing that they're upset and acknowledging that they're upset. So we first apologize, and then we listen. I used to be one when I started out on the cruise ships, people would say, I signed up, I paid my full money for this cruise a year in advance. I didn't get anything until 2 weeks before. I couldn't plan this and I couldn't plan that. And I understand why they're upset. But I didn't tell them this, but in reality, it's tough because airlines often will not confirm reservations for groups until 30 days before. We kind of get what's left sometimes. And then you've got to get all those tickets processed. You've got to get everything and all their reservations together before you send everything out. So it, maybe 2 weeks before that they get everything, even though they paid. Now, I would originally go, oh, it's not so bad. I'm glad you're here. They don't want to hear that. Instead it's, I am so sorry that happened. And I listened to them complain. I'm the first person a lot of the times that they see with the company. They don't, as a tour director, they booked through their travel agent. They booked online. They talked directly to the tour operator. I'm the first person that they see. So I listen and I apologize. And it was really bad. It was something that they're dealing with. I might send them a bottle of wine and apologize. We try to come up with a solution. Let's say, like I'll have people say, gosh, I have a view of the trash cans and everybody has a beautiful lake view. Well, first thing I'll try to see if I can switch rooms with them, because if I have a lake view, I might have a view of the trash cans too, and I can't change, but I would, that would be my first thing. If the hotel doesn't have another room for them, maybe I can't change them. The hotel is booked. I'll call ahead to the next hotel and say, can you please take care of these people? and give them a nice room, and I'll tell them what happened. If you work for one of the upscale companies, they'll often give you extra money to help those people to get like a mini suite, to apologize, because we want them to come back. Our tours are expensive. We want them to come with us. If they leave unhappy and to say it was a good tour, there's lots of other companies to go with. We want them to leave and go, this was an excellent tour. And if it's excellent, you're going to come back to that same company. So we really, really want to help them. So we do our best for the solution. Sometimes, I just can't. Okay, we're leaving for the States tomorrow. I can't do the bit with the room. And by the way, you don't tell anybody you did that. And early in the tour, if you get a great room, great, keep it to yourself, because then they'll say, oh, you gave preferential treatment to that person. You don't want that. So, and yet the people know when they get to their room, they go, oh, this is a great room. Thank you, Cherie. I hear about it. So that's what we try to do. If it's a restaurant, they'll give you fresh food. Hopefully, if they don't, I don't go back there. I've had that happen. But it's like, why would you not do that? It's sort of what we do in our business. So maybe the solution is, oh, God, I'm so sorry that the tour is ending. There's really nothing I can do, but please, I'm going to put it in my report, and please put it in your report at the end. And then that way, when the tour is over, the company will look at what happened to them, because they'll report what happened they're unhappy with. They'll look at my report, which is why, because they reported, I need to make sure I put it in my report. And maybe it was a problem with the weather. They're complaining because the weather was bad. Well, we can't help with that. But the company still might say, I'm so sorry, we can't really control the weather. But here's a voucher off your next tour. I hope this helps. In fact, I tell people at the beginning of the tour, I can't control the weather, the airlines. You may think that's funny, but it helps, because I've taken the blame for the weather in the airlines. So I make that clear at the beginning, but people forget. And, they've paid a lot of money and they get someplace and they can't see the sights they wanted to see. They're disappointed, and so we want to give them as much empathy and help and as we can. That's our job. All right. So I talked about destination management companies. I talked about getting experience, how to start getting experience now. Hiring, I hope you listen to that podcast. When you go to your list, I know I've ordered the list. Again, I have a hard time showing anything with the background. Yeah, we'll just go to the beach instead. Anyway, you've got your list of 60 major tour operators and DMCs. Don't just go through and go, I'm going to apply to them. Look for companies that you want to work with. Look for companies that do the kind of tours you're interested in. Look for companies that you may qualify for. One of the questions I wanted to cover, the gentleman asked about, he's got a lot of extensive travel and backpacking and all that, and was interested in adventure tours. So I don't do adventure tours, but I went through the list and I tried to pull some companies out that have adventure in their names. Some of the major ones, Backroads. Backroads does a lot of adventure and sports tours. They're the largest one. Backroads.com. Look them up. They'll be hiring. Mount Sobek, MTSOBEK, is another major international adventure type tours. They've been around for years. I found some others like, American Classic Tours. Now, they're not necessarily adventure, but they're an all-inclusive tour operator. And even if you're not interested, go to their website. And it is America Classic Tours.com, and look at their video. I mean, it is so impressive. Wow. In fact, I was hoping to have him on our travel summit, maybe the next one. He said he was interested, but I couldn't get a response back from my email. And I think because they were hiring, they were in a big hiring. And what's neat with them is they hire you full time. And I think part of the time when you're not traveling, you may be helping with reservations. That's not normal in our industry, but that's kind of sounds like what that is. And for new tour directors, and it might work out for you. Trek America is another adventure company. They do the camping tours. Great way to get into the business. They train you, they get you a license or a 20 passenger sedan, national parks, all of that. And, you do that 1 or 2 years, and now you can probably go with anyone, because not only can you do the narration and the tour, you can direct the driver. Hey, there's a shortcut over here, so you got really good experience. If you're not into camping, it's an awful tough way to get in. You'd probably hate it. So I don't recommend that. Some of the others I kind of looked up, rei.com /adventures. They have adventure tours. I didn't know that. That sounded interesting. austinadventures.com were some of the companies, bikehike.com, discoveradventure.com, adventures.com. So I'm not sure what all those companies do, again, because I don't do adventure tours, but hopefully that helps this person ask the question and anybody else that's interested in doing that. Also, Adventures by Disney. They're not adventure tours, but they're often looking for people. They do local, domestic and international tours. And I know they were coming back a few months ago. adventuresbydisney.com. Look them up and apply. And I think Disney always does everything right. I really like that. So I hope that helps again, and listen to that podcast if you didn't. You can also go to my website. It's tour-guide-training.com, tour-guide-training.com, and click on videos. And I have lots of videos that some I filmed several years ago, but I talk about different jobs that we do. Some of it that we talked about in this travel summit. There's an long interview with Liz Moran. There's a couple interviews with Tammy, who was in our last, one with Tammy and one with Linda, who's one of her concierge that her travel concierge that she hires and talked about. And so I hope that helps. If you look me up on YouTube, tour training or Cherie Anderson, probably need to go something like tour training, Cherie Anderson, lots of videos on there where I share information. So I hope that helps. And any other questions that you have, reach out, let me know. Again, I'd love to hear, your successes and how the summit helped you personally, if that happens. And maybe you're a travel professional and you would like to be part of the next summit, let me know. And we'll do another free travel summit. I mean, I just have to catch people when they're not traveling to speak. It's hard to do it live. So even today, like I said, there are people, we got into some really personal stories and figured that was not something we wanted the whole world to know. So that's why I'm redoing this now. So I hope that helps. My contact is Cherie, Cherie at Tour Training, TOURTRAING.com. If you go to my website, you'll see my online course, you'll see my textbook. Don't order my textbook from Amazon. If you're going to order the textbook, the Tour Director Training Guide, do it through tour-guide-training.com or tourtraining.com, and it'll come directly from me. For years, people have been buying it on Amazon, but they're bringing in their own sellers that are sending out 2003 copies. Even on the website, I cannot get them to update it to 2020. It says 2017. You don't want a 2017 version. You want a 2020 version of the tour. It's the Tour Director Training Guide. Get paid to travel. So, and hope that helps. Now, I have an offer to make for those that want help from me personally. One, when you go to my website, tour-guide-training.com, you'll see my course, Live Your Dream Travel Job. And I'm really excited. Again, I put that out in the latter part of 2019. Great timing, huh? Anyway, lots of videos, lots of checklists, lots of activities to help you. Lots of people that have shared that are on there in our business. And that's all tour directing and guiding and dealing with groups and all of that. And then I've bundled that with my other course called Enjoy VIP Travel, working in the convention meetings and incentive market. And I've sort of become the specialist in that market. I didn't know anything about it when I started, which Dieter and I talked about, and here I am working in it now. I used to hire somebody to do the training, and now I love being part of it. And that's all about the DMCs, working for the meeting planners. Transportation, if you're interested in doing transportation, I mean, I cover it all in detail, like Dieter does, so, and who's hiring for the meetings and all of that. So that's included. You have to purchase that separately. I bundle that with the first course. Then I have Liz Moran's Leading Successful Student Tours. It's all her training, and it's excellent. If you've never seen a student, you just click on that and read that, and they'll think you've been leading tours forever. Plus, she talks about finding more companies that do student tours. Again, great way to get started. It also includes cruise careers and cruise hosting. And that's all in there too. So it's all 4 courses, but you only sign up for one, Live Your Dream Travel Job. You don't have to sign for all the others. And I put a link on there last night, a coupon code. I've never done this before. They've never given this big a discount like this. Anyway, it's 20% off. If you use the coupon code SUMMIT, SUMMIT, 1 T, SUMMIT, use the coupon code SUMMIT. It's 20% off. It's like, should be like $114 a month or something if you want to do payments. It's a 30-day money back guarantee. So if you don't like it, you just opt out and you get a money back guarantee. It's through Teachable. It's all right there. But I've also included my textbook with that. And I want all my students in my course to have my textbook, because I have everything in here in a lot of, and I just found this out when I was doing my online course, that a lot of tour directors take that with them on tour so that they have it, and they're going to do a briefing. Oh, here's your briefing. I'm doing, whatever you need to. What do I need to do tonight? I mean, I have everything in there. My background is in teaching, so that's what it tells you. Working in the CMI, convention meetings and incentives, that's all in there. So if you sign up, you need to let me know if you sign up in the course, and I will send you the ebook and a hard copy. Ebook, you're out on the road, you don't have the book, you can always, look at it that way, or the hard copy. The other thing I'm going to include, my ebook, I just love it. The Enjoy Living Your Dream Travel Job, 15 of my favorite careers. So a lot of the careers we talked about, and there's a lot of careers we didn't. A fun one, if you live near a port, near a port where the ships are embarking and disembarking, especially now when they're just coming back, you can work as a port director or port staff, where you're right there helping the passengers. You're there in the morning as they disembark and helping them. You're there in the afternoon as they're disembarking. Wonderful way to start making contacts and learn the logistics. And it's fun, and it's going to be interesting and exciting, as cruising just keeps coming back stronger and stronger. And if you want a job on board, sometimes that's a great way to network too, because the people that hire staff will be getting on and off the ship, and you can kind of get to know them too. So great way to network. And I also talk about getting jobs on the cruise ship in there. I give you links right to the companies that do the hiring. Alaska, all kinds of jobs in Alaska in the summertime. And I talk about that and links right to who to contact to work in Alaska. So that's included. If you sign up for the course, you get that. You also get the 60 major tour operators and DMCs with that. You also, you get me to help. I'm here to help in your success personally. So we can do phone calls, we do Zooms. I have lots of, like I said, lots of videos. Let me help you personally, because again, my goal is always to get you hired. And I personally think I have the best. So anyway, if I can help, if you have any questions, let me know. And thank you for the wonderful comments on the Travel Summit. And as we speak, I'm passing all that information on to the wonderful speakers that volunteered their time. And I'm so glad to have